So we are doing a special little series. We're in Berlin for Kittl Week, which is a lot of fun. And we're going to be going over some of the most iconic records. We're going to start with Brat because there's a lot to be discussed. It's very interesting. I mean, we'll show some close-up shots of this, but I'm just now seeing the actual record for the first time. I didn't actually see it in person until right now.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was this pixelated and interesting.
And that's what you miss, I think, from the thumbnail version that you get on your phone. It's like, that was very much a design choice for them to
do that on purpose. Yeah. So I want to start with Brat. And if you're just finding Kittl or you're just finding us, thank you so much for coming to the channel. I want you to subscribe, leave a comment about each of these albums that we're going to be talking about. This is going to be the first video, but we're going to do other videos of other albums we have. But let's start with a little bit of history and a little bit of design reasoning. But you have some interesting notes and thoughts about the history. And so I want to know, like, why this? Like, and what is the homage? Because this has been done in the past.
So, originally, I think, from the story, this came about because Charli XCX, didn't have great expectations for this particular album. It was very experimental. She, didn't think it was going to be a huge success.
Right.
And so she, wanted to do something, interesting with the album design. Apparently she put together a 20-page document kind of setting out the kind of direction she wanted to go with the album, and handed that off to a New York agency called Special Author Inc. And they did the work on the album.
Yeah, and they there's a couple of different theories. Like, for example, they wanted to push something more obviously obnoxious.
Yeah.
They also wanted to potentially save money, right? So photo shoots, time, pictures, cameras all take a lot of effort and money. And I think that's one of the interesting things, that this was developed over a pretty short amount of time, right?
The point here was to be confrontational,
Confrontation.
It was to be a little obnoxious, and because the album's called Brat at the end of the day, so that's the aesthetic that they were going for.
I want to get into some of the design process type stuff, but I want to hear what you think first. You're a fan as well, so first thoughts on cover, theory, process, just overall thoughts, coming from a design, because you're a designer's design perspective.
So I think it was really interesting that you mentioned that she's not in the cover.
Yeah.
It's just a design, front or back. Yes. You have
on a thumbnail on a phone or whatever. You're not.
You have a photo shoot, like a Brat photo shoot, of course.
Yep.
But which is interesting because, for example, usually for debut albums or for the first few albums, the label will make the artist be on the album cover because no one knows you. They don't know your face. It's something that it's like, who is this person? So she's been on her album covers before, right? I think she has some interesting songs talking about this on this album, about how she's just working, maybe she's missing life. And I think she got to the point where she was like, okay, I'm already an artist. People already know me. I have at least a fan base. I have some people that value and respect my work. And she got to the point where she was like, I think I can do this, I think I can do something more bold or outside the box, or rely on my reputation and my name. And what was very interesting, and artists started doing that after she did, she changed on the streaming platforms, she changed the album covers of her past projects to Brat album cover.
Yeah.
But the concept is that Brat, it's something that it's live.
Yeah.
So on her live concerts as well, she had this huge Brat wall that would be not each concert, but in each 4 months or whatever, she would rot. Yes, she did this first, and then by the end it was rotten. It was a rotten album cover because she's changing.
Yeah.
And she talked about recently how she was interested in making this last as long as possible, even if that makes people feel uncomfortable. Even if people go ugh, that's
it's funny.
We're
it's
over
funny
this.
You say the uncomfortable thing, because one of the quotes from someone on the design team was that they wanted to trigger the idea that of something being wrong. It's
Yes.
there's something wrong here. And, even in the manufacturing process, while this was being manufactured, they'd have, the printers coming back to them and saying, are you sure this is right? So, it even worked while they were making it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
And she gave an interview saying like how she wanted to take things that are conventionally ugly and turn them like into pretty things. So this lime green, which it can be like a little distressing on the eyes at first. I don't know, maybe we'll call this particular color ugly.
do you know the Pantone color?
Yeah, I was.
I don't.
It's I checks notes. It's the Pantone 3507C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, look.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to go into color. It's so interesting segue because like I was doing some research and all from all of your notes that they were testing over 500 greens, right?
Apparently, yeah.
Okay, like different green swatches, and then we were arriving on this one to be more purposefully disgusting. Like it's an obtrusive slimy green. So I don't know if anybody has been watching Disney for their whole life. I have, but typically villains have a green light. So green kids, you think of Scar in Lion King, or you think
Wicked.
so Wicked is green. So you think, and you see this already. And well, that's an interesting point about the Wicked with the pink and the green. We did a whole thing on social for that. But why, outside of like being disgusting, why do you think we went with this green? Do you think it would have worked with a different color?
I think it's interesting as well, though. Yeah, that parallel with Wicked. You have the pink and green kind of contrast there. So maybe there is
What do you think about the going green? And do you think it would have worked with a different color, like a red, like a jarring red?
I think the green was crucial.
Yeah.
I think the green was. I think that was very well like thought. They probably discussed this for various meetings. That was not just something that, as you said, they went over 100 shade like tones of green. I think the green was crucial for this era. If you try to see it in a holistic way, like how she used on her concerts, how she used on her promo, how she, like on everything, on her music videos. I don't see other color working for it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think another color would have worked either. I mean, I could see some sort of orange obtrusive color, but the green is so disturbing and captivating and like you have to pause and look at it.
Yeah.
You have to look at it again for many reasons. You have to look at this, but like the green is like,
And also, I think it's a very clubbing color.
Yeah.
When you go like clubbing lights, green lights.
Well, it's club and punk. It's both. It's very much it's a color.
Yeah.
Very much in both those areas. Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the typography. We've talked about color, obviously iconic. The type also iconic for this because it looks stretched. It looks like it's just an interesting choice overall. And I think that they were, well, so the rendering is one thing.
Yeah.
So there's one thing that they're doing with the rendering, but also just the type choice. Why don't you talk a little bit about like what this is? I can't like not laugh when I talk.
So this is using it's called ABC ROM, which is heavily based on Arial. And
Arial,
really
yeah.
didn't use Arial for don't know.
And you can
reasons,
kind of
maybe.
tell from the like there might be rounded or edges there,
So-
it's just too pixelated.
It may be too pixelated. Yeah.
So yeah, that's obviously an interesting choice. Not many album covers would be using an Arial derivative.
In lowercase, no less.
If I produce an album, it will be Comic Sans.
Comic
Oops.
Sans.
Do it. It would be.
I wouldn't have. I'm guessing they thought about using Comic Sans. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, so apparently, like in terms of like the placement, they were looking to place this between small and tasteful and large and loud to make it like the maximally awkward.
Minimally awkward.
Yeah. Because it just feels kind of in between those two. I think a little bit.
Yeah, and they've rendered it at like what you would render like a favicon.
I think it's 100 by 100.
100 by 100 or 50 by 50. I think it's 100 by 100, but like, and then scaled it to be this size, knowing that it would look like this. So when we're thinking about typography, obviously something you and I are very passionate about as designers, designing things, but what comes to your mind? Placement? Do you think it would have worked in a different part of the album is being in the center a very specific reason? Lowercase is what gets me. It also stands out. Like, what are your thoughts?
Again, I see everything about this album as like this a bigger vision. because I think when I think of that, when I see that, I think about contrast very much, because she uses this really thick and like bold and how do you say, like imponent typography on her concerts, where she puts like party girl or like 365, and like she puts like some random text in the screen. So it's very contrasting, like how this is like based on Arial and it's lowercase and it's like super pixelated. And then when you see her live, when you see her music videos, when you see the other stuff, like the other media she put out there for this era, for this album, it's like super bold. It's like uppercase. It's like loud. It's not that this is not loud. This is very much loud. But she also is like I think it was so interesting how she played around with typography in this whole for the whole album concept, for the whole tour, for the whole I don't know for festival concerts like the Brat tour. So yeah, and I think if we're talking typography, honestly, I think we should go in like into the album and see what's inside the
Yeah.
the. Should we explore it a little bit, because I think that is really cool.
Okay.
It's also this contrast because this is way more clean and way more minimalist than the album, like the cover itself.
Well, that's another thing. That's one of the things with Brat anyway. It's not just about the cover. It's about, all of this, but also all of the marketing around it.
The marketing.
It's all, it's
Exactly.
almost kind of almost part of a whole. But yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
I think
Yeah.
it's very cool.
I think what's super cool as well is,
Oh.
so this is like the production sheet that kind of tells you kind of, who wrote each song and what have you. I'm pretty sure this was genuinely printed on a dot matrix printer.
Yeah.
Like it's got, like you can see it's
Perforated.
it's perforated and it's
And
shit,
we can kind of go into, not that I want to go into another
It's-
topic,
that's a
but
really little detail.
we had this pretty big show recently, Severance,
Yeah.
that we saw the rising of documents being a design reference.
Letterheads, signage.
Exactly.
Tags.
Office documents being this whole thing, and people wanting to not copy but design that way, design in that style, and take that style and tweak it
Yeah.
and modernize.
I think it's interesting using the blocks where that would normally be for that would normally be for areas missing. So
Hilarious.
when you're trying to find a certain glyph or a character in a font, it'll just do that. Or if you've ever copied and pasted text from something into Illustrator, Kittl,
Well, that goes
wherever.
back to the something being wrong. It's like it's like designing this like to make people think, oh, question it. It's questioning whether.
Yeah, they had to explain like 100 times that it was correct. Yeah, basically that there was nothing actually wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I'm noticing about this one, the album sleeve, if you will, it's this sort of like faux utilitarian rebus layout where there's like, because rebus is kind of like a puzzle, and then when you use rebus with typography, generally you'll have something in there like an arrow or a sign or like some emoji, something like that. But it gives me that vibe, which I've seen kind of as a rising typography trend to do this kind of disrupted grid. But but there is a grid. There's a balance around it.
There is balance. There is repetition. There's unity. I think that's the point. It looks disruptive and it looks unintentional, but that's what people that want to like criticize, which is okay if you don't like it. Like if it's not your thing, it's definitely okay. But I think you have to at least know what you're talking about when you want to criticize something. And it's not that it was something that it was not carefully thought and did not have like probably 100 revisions, did not went through like 100 people on a marketing agency, on the label, everything. Even though it seems unintentional, it is very much intentional, and that's what it makes it cool, because it's that whole cliche of like, if you want to break design rules, you have to know the design rules in order to break it. And it's true. Otherwise, it's just not gonna make sense.
Yep.
So I want to get into our big ticket question, because we're kind of talking about leaving a legacy, what kind of impact this has had. And obviously, if you haven't caught on to it already, it definitely has been impactful. We've been talking about it for 30 minutes. So it was enough for us to do a podcast in the middle of Berlin about it. But I think that this is going to be an iconic one that goes down for a very long time. I think that it will be influential. I think people will look back at it as an incredible piece, saying that was amazing for all the weird reasons, for all the wrong reasons. It was great. And I do think it will be a lasting legacy style, but others don't. So let's start with, what do you think? Are we going to look at this in years to come and say that's probably one of the classic impactful album covers of all time?
Yeah, I will start by saying I love this album cover. I enjoy this album. I love the whole package, and I think this album is a triumph of marketing, and it's a joke, and that's not being derogatory. It's a really good joke, a really, really good joke, and it was designed that way. It was designed to annoy people, and it succeeded at that. But personally, you basically asking the question, in 30 years, will this be on it? Will you see many people with this on a t-shirt? Like you would see with, Unknown Pleasures or Dark Side of the Moon. And personally, I don't think it will. I think when the dust settles, it won't be seen as a design classic, because it's not just the cover for me. It's everything else around it as well. And it's making a point about these times, rather than it just living on its own. Yeah, that's
all right.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I personally think it will be iconic down the road, because I think Charli is an iconic artist. It's like herself. I don't think she's going anywhere. I think she will be releasing more groundbreaking projects. So Brat will be remembered. And also, here's the thing about how we are perceiving design styles or trends or whatever nowadays. When it first got released, it was cool. It was cool. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Brat Summer this, Brat Summer that. Yeah, let's go party, let's go clubbing, whatever. And then it's starting to fade, and it started to become a little bit lame. But it gets so lame to the point that it gets cool again. And people are gonna be like, "Oh, you don't like Brat? Oh, you're so boring. Like, why? You're such a hater. You're such a hater." So maybe it will come and go in cycles. I don't know. Maybe people will start wearing it ironically. It's like wearing a...
That's true.
Yeah, it's like wearing a I Love New York t-shirt in New York. And it's like, oh, so cheesy. Come on. But then it gets to the point where people are like, wait, but this is actually cool.
No.
I think it will be iconic because of the artist that Charli is. I'm not just saying that people would just think this is ironic.
Yep.
I think it will truly go down history lane as one of, the greatest albums, or at least Charli being one of the greatest artists of this maybe century, maybe decade. I don't know.
So we have to redo this in 10 years then.
Let's see if I'm right.
Yeah, I also agree. I think we will see this on a shirt. I think we will see it on a tote bag specifically. I think this is going to be sticker-esque. And I think the irony bit is what leads me to believe that it will be. You know what I mean? But you may also see, it may not necessarily be the grunge stuff, but it might be more of this.
Yeah.
It might be more of the layout. I don't know if it'll necessarily, but I could also see just in the Brat, in the pixelated, I could see that happening.
Yeah. I guess I just question whether that irony gets lost over time, and at that point it needs to stand on its own as a piece of design. That's kind of, that's why I kind of question about whether it will.
Yeah, true. Well,
stick around.
We want you all to let us know in the comments what you think about the Brat album. Maybe not necessarily what you think about the music, although you're welcome to share what you think about the music, but the design, some of the design process, and we'll put some more of the notes as well, like a link to maybe a live Notion or something with the notes. That way they can take a look at it, see what we researched beforehand to talk about it, but we want to know what you all think in the comments. Of course, don't forget to share this with somebody that likes Brat. I think that would be interesting for them to either be like, yes, you're right on it, or no. It'd be funny if somebody said it was iconic for a different reason completely than what we said.
Yeah.
Like from a design perspective, we can give our thoughts, but maybe from a different one.
Yeah. So much to discuss here.
Yeah, we could go on for forever. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you watch the next video. We've got more albums to talk about for sure. And we will see you in the next video.